The Art of War is a timeless book written by Sun Tzu, a general and military strategist of ancient China. The book covers the main principles that lead to success in war when employed. However, if one looks deeper, many principles can be uncovered that can be applied to daily life to help better one's abilities to achieve a goal, with war serving as a metaphor. In this video, I aim to cover some of the lessons that can be derived from the book and how they can be applied to daily life. In the first chapter of The Art of War, Sun Tzu covers a summary of what he believes war to be. He mentions that war is a thing of pretense. Therefore, when capable of action, we pretend disability. When near to the enemy, we pretend to be far. When far away, we pretend to be near. All of these perspectives of war serve to help you learn what the game you are playing actually is, in a way, suggesting that in whatever endeavor you seek to take, in this case war, the successful one is the one who goes into the endeavor with the right mindset. The one who knows what game he is playing, what obstacles may arise, and what the solutions to them are, i.e. has a plan of action to stick to. This is underlined when Sun Tzu mentions at the reckoning in the sanctuary before fighting, victory is to the side that excels in the foregoing matters. They that have many of these will conquer, they that have few will not conquer. Hopeless indeed are they that have none. I believe he's saying that the game is won before it even begins. Therefore, the trained eye is able to predict success before it happens. This is important for life as well. Usually the person who walks into something without knowing what they want out of it, what mindset they need to be successful, what the game they are playing actually is, what problems can arise, and how they would react to these problems is usually defeated before they even start. So I think before you approach any endeavor, it is important to note down, why am I doing this? What am I hoping to get out of it? What actually is the task I am undertaking? And what qualities do past victors in this field have that ensured their victory? And what qualities did the losers possess that ensured their downfall? Answering these questions is like clearing the fog around you and allowing you to objectively assess your situation and decide what steps to take to go where you want. In Sun Tzu's case of war, he mentions that war is actually a game of deceit and strategy. It is a game of intel. The side who deceives the enemy, i.e. deprives them of the truth, while correctly anticipating the enemy's moves, are the victors. It is truly a battle of secrets. Sun Tzu knows what the rules of the game of war are. In turn, he is able to capitalize on successful moves and damage control failures. He knows what led to the successes and what led to the failures, and by knowing why, he is able to change the outcome. This is why he is successful. Make sure you have not been checkmated before you've even begun. Part 2. Do not overestimate your abilities and patience. In Chapter 2 of The Art of War, Sun Tzu states that war should be kept to a minimum amount of time. One should strive to avoid lengthy operations, because if the war lasts long, the country's means do not suffice. Then when the soldiers are worn out, weapons blunted, strength gone, and funds spent, neighboring princes arise and attack the weakened country. Here Sun Tzu urges one to look at their own resources before beginning their endeavor. He carefully analyzes how long he can go using what he has, instead of solely focusing on the next victory. I believe this ties in with the importance of knowing oneself. By knowing oneself and their own capacities, he is able to ensure that the operations do not last longer than they should, and that in turn protects them from inevitable loss. This also ties into making sure you consider how sustainable your plan is before taking it up. An unsustainable plan may give you victories in the short term, however, if the plan is unsustainable, you will ultimately lose, and most of your efforts will be rendered useless. It is self-sabotaging and self-destructive. But even if victorious, if the operations long continue, and the soldiers' ardor decreases, the weapons become worn, and if a siege be undertaken, strength disappears. And loss of strength will make you vulnerable to loss in other areas of life, and therefore lead to self-defeat. Therefore, before beginning a course of action, do not overestimate your patience and abilities. Make sure your plan doesn't exhaust resources that you need to keep going in the long term. In war, this refers to weapons, food, and soldiers' fatigue. In life, this may be time to rest and enjoy other activities, among other things. Therefore, overestimation of your patience and lack of self-knowledge is doomed to ultimate failure. Part 3. Never use up resources that you don't need to use up. To fight and conquer 100 times is not the perfection of attainment, for the supreme art is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Here in the third chapter of The Art of War, Sun Tzu presents war in what at first seems to be contradictory, but it again asserts the idea that the rules to the game you are playing is not as apparent as you may think. At first glance, the rule of war may seem to be that the stronger side wins, the one with greater weapons and/or bigger number. Instead, Sun Tzu is saying that it is the management of what you have in the best way possible that will lead to the highest chance of victory. The most skillful warrior outwits the enemy by superior stratagem. Back to the idea of winning without fighting. This means that one should strive to solve the problem in the most efficient way possible, rather than decide to attack with brute force and labeling it as willpower. This applies to any obstacle you may face in life. Just as an example, if a businessman has launched a product that hasn't been selling well, he may think to invest more money and resources into marketing. This may provide a slight boost to sales. However, by rejecting the real problem, for example, the product may not be good enough, and targeting something secondary, the businessman ultimately loses more than he gains, resulting in defeat. So in summary, using up more resources isn't always the answer. Rather, strive to root out the true problem and figure out the most efficient and smartest way to get from where you are to where you want to be. Unnecessary use of resources leads to defeat. Part 4. Things are not what they seem. As has been said before, the able warrior gains a victory without desperate and bloody engagements, and wins thereby no reputation for wisdom or brave deeds. To fight is to win, for he only attacks when the enemy has sown the seeds of defeat. Often in sports, we hear the phrase, "he makes it look easy," when spectating a skilled sportsman. And this is true. The more skilled a sportsman, the easier and struggleless the play seems. This is because the more skilled sportsman usually possesses more experience through more practice and study. In turn, the combination of skill and experience allows said sportsman to ascertain the best course of action in any given situation, i.e. the play with the greatest chance of success and also carry it out in the most efficient way possible, with the lowest chance of interception by the opponent. The combination of these factors is why even skilled professionals can look clueless when the most elite players get going. They always seem to be 2 steps behind, which ensures their defeat. It may seem contradictory that the better you are at something, the easier it seems. However, things are not always what they seem. In Sun Tzu's example, he mentions that because the best armies only attack when victory is assured, they reduce their losses and maximize their wins. In turn, the lack of struggle perceived by third parties deprives them from attaining the recognition of bravery and wisdom. Instead, their victory is put down to having superior resources, and the careful planning and strategy it actually took to make it seem that way is disregarded. Again, in any endeavor in life, this pushes us to find the truth behind every success and failure, rather than using a superficial understanding of success to guide us. Again, things are not what they seem, and struggleless wins are hiding superior skill and strategy beneath them. These are just the lessons one can derive from the first 4 chapters of the book. I can try to break down other chapters in the book if this video is enjoyed, so feel free to let me know if you took anything useful from the video, and any constructive criticism to make the video better is welcome. Thank you.